and welcome to another lawnfawn video. Today I am so excited because we're going to be introducing our new set, Ho-Ho-Holidays, and its coordinating dies. We're also going to be introducing the rooftop border, which looks so cute with this set, and we're going to be making 3 cards from start to finish. So let's go ahead and check these products out. First up, we have this super cute Santa and also Mrs. Claus. I just love her. We have a really fun little reindeer. We have a harness for the reindeer, and of course a sleigh. We have a sack full of Santa's presents, and also a bunch of different styles of presents. And I love taking these and putting them into that sleigh. We also have a glass of milk and a plate of cookies for both Santa and Mrs. Claus to enjoy. I love this little ho-ho-ho phrase. It's really fun to stamp around Santa. And then we have this beautiful script, Merry Christmas, that I just love using on cards. And then we have a Merry Christmas. We have from both of us, from all of us, also with love. We also have a very jolly new year. Then we have May your holidays be extra sweet, shine bright, be filled with magic, be jolly, and also, of course, happy Ho-Ho-Holidays. We have an exclamation point to add to the ends of the phrases in both a larger and smaller size too, and a cute little star that's really fun to stamp in the sky or around your sentiments. I'm using some Copic markers to add some color to these fun images, and I just adore this set so much. And one of my favorite things is how well it works with previous sets. So it works great with Holiday Helpers, which is that set that came out last year that has the cute little elves, and it also works really great with Christmas Dreams with that fireplace and the cat and the dog. So you can mix and match all of those to create a really cool, big, giant scene. I love coloring all of these guys in the beautiful red colors. And so I like to use 3 markers because I like adding that R22 in there because it gives it a little bit of brightness. For their little boots, we're going to be using some gray, and also for the belt. And then for the skin tone, I always like to add a little bit of darkness under the hat and under her hair for that little extra shadow. And I just love these characters so much. They're so super cute, and they always remind me of my grandma and my grandpa, because every year when I was a kid, my grandma would dress as Santa and make this whole big deal, and it was just hilarious. She had done it so long that one year she wanted to surprise us, and she sewed herself this incredible Mrs. Claus costume, and then my grandfather came in as Santa. He had put the costume on backwards, and we joked and laughed about it. It's still to this day, so every time I look at this set, I think of that. Now, to add some details to the white areas with his beard and her apron, where there's little scallops in both, we're taking the warm gray marker and making little lines, then blending those out with the colorless blender, and you can see that it gives it a really cool, almost 3D appearance that I think looks incredible. Then we're going to work on her gray hair, and I absolutely love coloring in her gray hair. It's so fun, and we're going to bring in that W2 marker just to add a little extra darkness that gives it a really cool 3D look. Next up, we have our cute little reindeer, and one of the things that I love about this reindeer is that his nose is open, and that's for a good reason. One, you can just color it in black, so he's just a normal reindeer, or you can color it in red, so he's Rudolph, which I think is so fun, and that's what I'm going to be doing with him. I love using a mix of different shades of brown for this guy. So for his body, we're going to be using the E20 markers, and then for his face, we'll be using the E30 markers. And you'll see that I brought in that E30 a little bit at the bottom of his belly just to add a little bit of lightness, and then tie his face into his belly. Then we're also going to be adding the E50 markers for the antlers. So I really love the mix, and there you can see that cute little red nose for Rudolph. Once I'm done coloring him, I always like to take my white gel pen and fill in those little white areas. 1, because I'm not the most careful color, so I always kind of make it a mess, and 2, because it gives them this really cool bright white texture. For the harness, we're going to be doing a mix of browns and reds, and then these really cool kind of gold markers for those little brass pieces, which I think looks really, really amazing. Now, for this sled, we're going to be coloring it like one of the girls in the design team. So we've seen really, really cool different options where that top piece is gold or that top piece is white. And so this time we're going to be coloring it in white, which I thought was really cute because it kind of goes along with Santa's outfit. I also really like bringing in that darker R39 marker just for the little edges of the sled because it really kind of makes it just pop. You can see that darkness on the outside makes the middle nice and bright. And now we've got the gold at the bottom and the white at the top, and we can start to color in that cute little sack. And so we're going to be doing that with the E30 markers, which looks really nice because it's going to kind of match our colors that we did on Rudolph earlier. Next, we're going to be coloring in some of the smaller images. And when I already have my red markers out, I always try to color in all of my red areas. So we're going to be doing these different presents in traditional reds and greens. And so we're going to color in the bow on one red and then the actual present in red. And then we'll switch over to our green color so you can see just how pretty that looks. We'll also add a little green to the plate for the cookies. I love the E30 markers for cookies. It always looks like a nice little toasty cookie. And then E51 for the milk. These are the coordinating dies for the set, which you can bend apart at the tabs or use your wire snips to separate. We're going to take those coordinating dies, line them up with the stamped images, and then hold them in place with some low tack tape. I'm using Post-it note tape here. Then we'll run it through the die cut machine and pop them out of the dies, and how cute is that little Santa? I am just in love with these little images, and here are some fun ways that you can mix and match them. I just love putting Santa and Mrs. Claus together on a card, or putting Santa in the sleigh with the cute little sack. Then you can add the harness and then that reindeer right on there, which is so adorable. And then we can tuck even more presents into the sleigh, which is really cute. We've got Mrs. Claus holding cookies and Santa holding milk. And then we've got the sleigh with the reindeer just kind of separate on its own. So you can really mix and match and play around with these. I love Mrs. Claus in the sleigh too. Now here is the rooftop border, and it has two scallop pieces that you layer to create the rooftop and then a chimney. So we're going to play along with these pieces so you can see how to put them together. So that little rectangular piece there is the detail top for the chimney. And then these are the different roof pieces. So you're going to take them and layer them on each other. Now you can cut as many of these as you need depending on how tall you want to make your roof. You'll layer them in the alternating styles, and you can do contrasting colors like we did here, or more tone on tone with a light color and a dark color, or you can even do them all cut from the same cardstock, which looks really, really pretty as well. If you want to create kind of a finished part for your roof, you can actually flip one of the pieces over and use that little stitched area, then layer your pieces again. So now we've got our scallop piece, and then we can keep moving back and forth between the different styles of scallops to get that really cool roof look. And then here is what it looks like when you add the chimney. So I like to tuck that behind and then add the little chimney top detail. It looks absolutely adorable. You can have Santa coming out of the chimney. It's really cute for pull tabs too. Now, one of the other really cute things about the Rudolph that we have in this set is that it goes really well with both Toboggan Together and Cheery Christmas. So you can mix and match our cute little deer in all of the different positions that he's in. So we've got sitting and standing and jumping. The jumping one is the brand new one. You can see how they can mix and match. The other cool thing is that harness obviously fits great on our jumping one that comes in Ho-Ho-Holidays, but it also fits really, really cute on this other reindeer. So you can have them either standing or jumping and flying through the air. So I love mixing and matching all of these guys and creating really, really cute little reindeer scenes. Now it's time to create our first card, and the first thing we're going to do is create a rooftop for Santa to be on. So we've die cut the scallop pieces from both Storm Cloud and Narwhal cardstock, and then the chimney from some chili pepper cardstock. I've also trimmed down a little piece that's 5.5 inches wide of that Narwhal cardstock just to be a base so that we can build this roof. We'll then start to layer all of the pieces alternating between the two shades of gray cardstock. So you'll see we're going to layer that one on there and just kind of eyeball it, see how you want it to look. And then from there, it's pretty easy to keep going up because you can kind of create that same spacing between each one. So you can raise or lower the spacing depending on what look you want. This roof looks great on its own, but it looks even cuter with a little string of lights. So this is our brand new mini string of lights die set, and I've gone ahead and die cut the main banner piece out of some Noble Fir cardstock, and then the base pieces of the lights out of white cardstock. So we'll add liquid glue to each light area with the glue tube, and then we can layer on all of the white pieces. Then we're going to be moving on to doing the actual lights, and we're going to be using some sparkle cardstock here, and this stuff is gorgeous. We're doing it from the holiday pack and using red, gold, and green. So we're going to be alternating all of these colors, adding some liquid glue and layering them on. You'll see that those little lights have a little opening for the shine mark, and that's where that white cardstock is going to shine through, and you can see just how gorgeous that looks. Next, we're going to add tape runner to all of the lights and then layer it onto the roof. And my favorite way to layer it is to start with the center light in the center of the roof, decide where I want that to be, and attach the centerpiece. And then from there, we can kind of curve it up to that top corner of the roof on the right and the left, and then press it down to hold it in place. And then we'll just take some scissors and trim off any of the excess. And I just love how this roof is looking and how they almost look like they're actually lit up because of that beautiful sparkle cardstock. Next, we're using the snowy backdrop die. We're going to die cut some white cardstock, and I love this because it's got snow and stars in it. And we're going to be doing some ink blending onto this with Mermaid Lagoon, Blueprint Sketch, and Chipped Sapphire. So we're going to pick up our lightest color first and build that up there on the bottom. Then we'll do our medium color going from the top, and then we'll go back and forth between the two colors to make sure that there's a nice seamless blend between the two. Then we're going to add some chipped sapphire just around those upper edges because that's going to kind of make the colors pop and just give that darkness of night. Since we have those beautiful sparkly lights on the card, I thought it would be fun to add some sparkle to the stars. So we've got some pixie dust sparkle cardstock we're going to layer onto a standard size card base at 5.5 by 4.25 inches. And then we can take some liquid glue and put it on the back of our cool ink blended sky. And through all of those little stars and holes, you're going to see that sparkly cardstock and it's going to look absolutely gorgeous. For the top of the chimney, we're going to add some narwhal cardstock, and then we can start to layer these pieces on there. So we're going to add some tape runner to the back of the roof, and then layer our chimney onto that. And then we can layer the whole thing onto the card base. You can see how this cute scene is starting to form. Then we're going to start working on our scene. So we're going to take Santa and we're going to tuck him into the chimney, which is so cute. I think this would be really adorable with the Let's Toast pull tab because you could have Santa pop in and out of the chimney. We're going to be having him hold a little present, and then we're going to start working on our sleigh and reindeer. So first we're going to attach the harness, then we're going to add foam tape to the back of the sleigh and the reindeer. And so I kind of like to eyeball it a little bit. I'm going to stick down the sleigh first, and then we can kind of layer that harness so that that rope kind of looks like it's coming from the sleigh, and then attach them both on there. Now we can fill the sleigh with presents and the sack of toys. So we're going to add those in there and just kind of layer them around so that it looks really nice. And I love the traditional red and green on there. It looks so good with the lights on the roof. It's time to work on the sentiment, so we're going to be stamping out my favorite, which is the Happy Ho-Ho-Holidays. We'll stamp that out in some black licorice ink, and then we're going to be using a sentiment banner to die cut it. This is going to be coming from the side of the card, so we're going to line up the right side of the banner with the end of the sentiment. We'll run it through the die cut machine, and then we can take this piece and start to add it to the card. We'll add it on there with some tape runner, and then we can trim off any of the excess. For a last finishing touch, we're going to do a little sentiment on the inside of the card too. I kind of keep forgetting to do this, but I love doing it, and every time I remember, I'm so excited. So we're going to line up our Merry Christmas, and then from all of us, and we're going to stamp that in some black licorice in the inside of the card, and it just adds a little bit of extra something to have that sentiment on the inside of the card too. You can see all of that beautiful sparkle and the ink blended sky, and Santa coming out of the chimney is just so super cute and fun, and I just love it. Next up, we're going to be creating a card using Santa and Mrs. Claus together, and we're going to be using the Snow Day Remix paper pack. So we're going to kind of search through here and see what colors to use. We're going to be using the holly and some of that red snowflake paper. We're going to die cut that with a stitched rectangle, and then we're going to be die cutting some of that paper that says Merry and Bright, which is so cute, with a stitched scalloped rectangle. We're also going to be cutting some of the holly paper too, and that's going to become our ground. And I just love this mix of pattern papers. To create the look of snow, we're going to be using one of the stitched wavy banners, kind of the one that's the bumpiest. We're going to line that up there, kind of using our Mrs. Claus and Santa as a guide, and then we'll hold it in place with some low tack tape and run that through the die cut machine. And I love the idea of it being snow, but I love the little holly pattern on there too. I just think it's super, super sweet. We're going to layer that snow onto that rectangle that says Merry and Bright, and then we're going to take that red snowflake paper and layer that onto a white card base. And I love that white border. It's really pretty, and I feel like it really makes the snowflakes pop. Now to layer this cool little scene that we created on there, we're going to use some foam tape just to give it some pop off that pattern paper, and then we can start to work on our scene with Santa and Mrs. Claus. We're going to give them some cookies to hold, and then we're going to work on the sentiment. So we've die cut a sentiment banner die out of some peacock cardstock, and we're going to be stamping in some clear embossing ink and then adding some white heat embossing powder on there. And I just love a white heat embossed sentiment, especially during the holidays. I just feel like it looks so pretty. So we'll add that on there and then heat it up with the heat tool, and then we can start to form our scene. And I love this card because it's pretty quick and easy, so you could definitely make a bunch of these if you needed to hand out some cards at Christmas time. For a finishing touch, we're going to take one of my favorite dies, which are these mini snowflakes, because they're such a great addition to cards. We're going to die cut a bunch of different styles out of some white cardstock and place them around that cool little scalloped rectangle. And I really like this look of it going from the bottom left-hand corner to the upper right-hand corner. I think it's so pretty. Once they're all in placement, we can add some liquid glue on the back and attach them permanently. And you can see just how cute this is looking. Every snowflake needs a little glitter, so we're going to be using the glitter pen, which adds a subtle shine to everything with a beautiful little kind of sparkly tint to it. And so we're going to color these snowflakes in completely, and even Mrs. Claus' little apron. And for a last little touch, we're going to stamp the Ho-Ho-Ho and some black licorice ink onto the card. And the card is all done. It's so super cute and sweet, and I just love seeing Santa and Mrs. Claus together. Next up, we're going to be recreating a card by Elise, and we're going to be doing some emboss resist. So that means that we're going to be heat embossing in white on white cardstock and then adding some ink. And when you add the ink, that sentiment is just going to pop. It's so pretty. So we're going to stamp in that nice clear sticky embossing ink. We'll add some white heat embossing powder and then heat it up with the heat tool. Next, we're going to use Broken China and Faded Jeans Distress inks. So we're going to bring those inks on with the lightest at the bottom and the darkest at the top. When the two colors meet, we're going to mix back and forth between the two colors so that there's a nice seamless blend and it gives this great gradient look. And there you can see that Merry Christmas that we heat embossed is resisting the ink, and it looks absolutely beautiful on this ink blended sky with that nice white detail. To add some texture, we're going to spray some water onto this inked background, and that water is going to react with the ink, and you can see how cool that's looking. Then this is some stardust spray. So what this is water mixed with our liquid stardust in a mini mister. And so what Shari is doing here is she's picking up that water that's got the sparkle in it and then kind of tapping it out with the end of the sprayer. And then she's also going to spray it. So that means we're going to have sparkly kind of spots and then an overall sparkly look. Then for even more texture, we're going to take some white watercolor paint, add some water, and then tap the end of the paintbrush to create splatters all around. So we have plain water, we have sparkly water, and white paint, and it looks so beautiful. We're going to layer this on to a nice card base here, and what this works is, this is a 9" by 4" card base, and that's going to fit inside a business envelope, so you can still mail this standard, and it's so cool because it's a different shape, and it's going to look really amazing with this design. So here we have a bunch of reindeer. We're going to add some harnesses to them. And then what we're going to be doing is creating Santa's sleigh with a bunch of reindeer flying off in the sky, and it's going to look so cool. So the first thing we need to do is just kind of place them on the card and see how they're going to look, and then we can go ahead and start attaching everything on. To finish up the night sky, we're going to use some stars that are actually from the Spooky Village stamp set, but these stars look beautiful in any sky, and we're going to lay those all over the card, really creating this beautiful night sky look, and I love the pop of yellow on the blue. I just think it's gorgeous. And now the card is all done, and it's so fun because it's got such a unique shape. I love all of the reindeer and that beautifully sparkly sky. Oh my goodness, so much fun and so gorgeous. So next up we have some amazing cards by the design team, and first up we have this gorgeous card by Audrey, and I love that ink blended sky and Santa with Mrs. Claus. Here Elena got really creative and combined these guys with our cozy Christmas stamp set, and you can see what a perfect match they are for that cute fireplace. Here Jen put Santa flying over our Build-A-House, which I think is such a cool idea and makes for such an amazing scene. The images in Ho-Ho-Holidays are perfect for the Flip and Awesome, so how cute is this from the reindeer to the sleigh? Then we're going to flip over to Mrs. Claus and then Santa, and I love that merry and bright sentiment there at the end. This card here is the card by Elise that inspired us to make ours today, and it's so super cute with those reindeer flying off into the sky. I love this card by Shari. She used our village border, which looks amazing with that textured embossing powder on top. I absolutely adore how Grace used the center picture window card, and when you open it up, you have Santa flying over the houses from our awesome winter village. It's absolutely adorable. This card by Megan is so beautiful. That sky is just stunning, and I love that Mrs. Claus is waiting there in the snow with a present and cookies. This card by Letitia is a great, clean and simple card that would be wonderful for mass producing. It's absolutely adorable, and I love that big bow. I love how Lynette layered her roof shingles really close together with that red below. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love how Elena added a top layer to the roof out of vellum. It really looks like it's covered in snow. How gorgeous is that? Here, this card by Megan is so cool, and I love how she created her roof out of light green and dark green with that wood grain cardstock below. And then here, this card by Kay is so beautiful. It's completely die cut and absolutely gorgeous. I can't wait to see what you guys create with Ho-Ho-Holidays and the Rooftop Border, so make sure to share it with us. Thank you guys so much for watching today, and I hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!